Welcome to the InfoMullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the InfoMullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. A lot of scary headlines are going out, and again, this is an area where it's not so bad. So we've just talked about a lot of things that are worse and bad and terrible. The food supply, I don't think is in worse shape as people are running around and saying. So the headlines, right? Tyson came out last week, Tyson Foods, the food chain is breaking. You see updates of the very real outbreaks in meat packing plants. I'm not trying to diminish. These are very serious outbreaks that are infecting hundreds of people. Often they're vulnerable populations themselves, consisting of immigrant populations with reduced access to healthcare. And then the obvious impact to the supply is these food producers are very concentrated, and when they get shut down, there's a question of where's the meat going to come from. You see claims of the Defense Production Act. Trump's going to keep these open and keep them running, and it's creating a bit of a concern. And I wanted to put some context around that so we can kind of get a feel for what we're talking about. First of all, there are indications of sort of reduced and spoilage on some types of food, usually fresher food, but the big concern is on meat. So first of all, we need to, of the entire food chain and food supply, we need to focus on meat. The US eats more meat than just about anyone else. So we are at a very high level of meat consumption. And what I think we need to be careful of is there's generally a few types of meat: beef, pork, and chicken. And within that, there are a variety of selections. And what these outages that are occurring is not like I've seen people say, well, have no meat. What it means is certain cuts of meat in a certain style, like certain cuts of beef or certain styles of pork, may be reduced availability, which leads to higher prices, which leads to either not eating that meat, substituting it with something else, like I eat chicken instead of beef, or imports from external countries. So the big news this week is, where's the beef? Wendy's, right? Wendy's ran out of beef. Well, Wendy's ran out of beef because they're the one fast food places that uses fresh beef. So they're the first ones to get hit by it. All the ones that are, if you're not out of beef right now and you're a fast food place, guess what? You're using really frozen beef we have a lot of supply of. The other thing to keep in mind is how much of the food supply in the US is just wasted. So if we think about, you need to supply 100, there's 100 units of supply, and this is a notional number. About 20 to 30% of that supply is wasted every month. It doesn't actually go to being consumed. It's not a demand, it's just a supply. About 10% of that supply comes from overseas. So, and our biggest overseas exporters of beef to the US are Australia and New Zealand. They're doing fine. They're much better off than we are. So you now have about 30 to 40% of the supply is going to be accounted for either in waste or this export coming in. And what that leaves is the remainder. As you start to lose some of these spot things, it's not going to be that you're 100% out of beef, for example, or chicken. You might be only able to meet 50% of the supply. What that's going to do is it's going to create, obviously, the profit incentive that other countries will begin shipping their meat in here that may cause shortages to other countries they would have provided to, but now there's a profit motivation for Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand. These are all our big suppliers of beef. They're going to want to sell their beef here because the price is going up, and their production is less impacted than ours, although Canada still has some problems. You're going to see people, as the price goes up, they're going to say, I'm going to alternate or eat less meat or choose a different type, and it wouldn't hurt Americans to eat less meat. So I think we have to put in context that this concern about running out of meat is a bit of an overreaction. Now, we know from the bullwhip effect, if everyone goes out and buys the shelves clear of beef tonight, it's going to look like we have an outage because someone's going to show up and they're going to have pictures of empty shelves, and you're going to get this feedback effect just like toilet paper. And that can often create more harm than the actual outages themselves. Some of the meat packing plants are already coming back online. Others are going to stay down for cleaning. This is something, I'm not saying this is no effect. Prices may increase dramatically, and that may reduce access to meat. But it's not going to be a question of there's no meat available. It's going to be how much are you willing to pay or substitute or do without versus we're running out of protein. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the InfoMullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a mulleteer and support the InfoMullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.